It's wonderful to see a full house. We appreciate all of you being here. And I have to do this. I hate it. Okay, we're going to put on my glasses so I can see. We need to have an approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting.
Move to approve the agenda.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve tonight's agenda. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Okay, and can we also approve the minutes from the last council meeting?
I just had an amendment on that.
Okay.
We were talking about the Olympics, and I think the minute said it was the year 2030, but it's 2034. It's on page 6.
Duly noted. Okay, do you want to make a motion then with that amendment?
Yeah, move to approve the minutes with the amendment I just mentioned.
Second. Okay, it's moved and seconded that we approve the meeting minutes from the April 21st meeting. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right, we are going to, hang on a minute. We need to do the honor guard presentation though before Nolan speaks? Or does Nolan speak first? Okay, Nolan, you do that first and then we will have the honor guard.
Hey, in recognition of Peace Officers Week, I did a little studying and looked back. In the state of Utah alone, there's been 152 peace officers who have lost their life in the state of Utah. That's way, way too many. And if you look in 2025, in the nation, how many peace officers lost their life, it was horrible. I hope we all take a minute and think about what these individuals do and provide to our society. It's a needed thing, and they do a very, very good job without much recognition, or might I even say pay. And I think these people need to be commended, respected, and we need to teach that to all of our people, especially our children, that we get these freedoms because of what these men and women do for us, as well as our military men and women who are not getting the respect they deserve either. And so I'd just like to have my comments be that we thank these peace officers, we thank the military veterans, and that we teach our society that these people are a good part of our society, and they do as well. And that's my comments.
Okay, thank you. And now we will have a presentation of the colors and Pledge of Allegiance by the Police Honor Guard, Cache County Sheriff's Office. Do we ask him to stand?
Post. Present arms. Will the audience please follow me in the Pledge of Allegiance?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order. Arms. Ready. Face. Forward. March.
Thank you. You can all be seated. Okay. Before I turn some time over to Sheriff Jensen, I have a proclamation that I'm going to read. It is written for Law Enforcement Week and Peace Officers Memorial Day in Cache County. Whereas the Congress and President of the United States have designated May 15th, 2026 as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week of May 10th through 16th, 2026 as National Law Enforcement Week. And whereas the members of the Cache County Sheriff's Office play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedoms of Cache County. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the duties, responsibilities, hazards, and sacrifices of their law enforcement agency. and that members of our law enforcement agency recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression. And whereas the men and women of the Cache County Sheriff's Office unceasingly provide a vital public service, now therefore be it resolved, in recognition of all law enforcement officers, and in particular the men and women of the Cache County Sheriff's Office, be it resolved that the County of Cache, State of Utah, hereby proclaims that the week of May 10th through 16th, 2026 as Law Enforcement Week, and further call upon all citizens of Cache County to honor those law enforcement officers who through courageous deeds have made the ultimate sacrifice in service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty, and let us recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. And Friday, May 15th, 2026 as Peace Officers Memorial Day. And further, call upon all citizens of Cache County to honor those officers who have made the ultimate sacrifice or became disabled in the performance of duty, and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. Approved and adopted this 12th day of May by the Cache County Council. So we really do appreciate all of the peace officers that we have and everything that you do for our community. And we're going to turn some time over to our good sheriff to present some awards.
Do we need to vote on that?
Do we need to vote on it? Okay. Chad, we're going to take a vote on this. Could I get a motion to accept this proclamation?
Accept.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept this proclamation as a county council. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, great. Okay, now, thank you.
Okay. Well, first of all, like always, thank you so much for letting us be part of the council meeting and being able to show honor and respect and really represent some of the great works that all the men and women at the Sheriff's Office do. We're going to talk about some of the events tonight, but there are thousands of amazing things that these men and women do every single year that just go unnoticed and go unrecognized, and I wish we could outline every single incident and every single call that they take, but we can't do that. So tonight we're going to talk about just a few of some of the great things that our staff does on a daily basis. So with me, I've got Lieutenant Hatch, Lieutenant Batt, and Lieutenant Gates will help me with the presentations. So first, if we could have Deputy Von Adams step forward. This past summer, we asked staff to audit the office and issue equipment, particularly firearms. Deputy Von Adams immediately volunteered to assist with the project completion. Deputy Adams knew how important it was to keep accurate records and took the lead in organizing the audit. He gathered staff forms, entered details into our tracking system, found errors, and tracked down missing items. He also worked with tactical teams to ensure their equipment was properly recorded. Deputy Adams put a lot of time into this project, and we truly appreciate his efforts. Thanks to his work, our records are better. We now have a solid base for tracking equipment in the future. Deputy Adams did an outstanding job on this important project. We are grateful for his hard work and his willingness to step up and take this responsibility, and I am pleased to award the Outstanding Achievement Award for the Administrative Division to Deputy Von Adams. Deputy Coulter Cottle, Outstanding Achievement Award in the Criminal Division. The Outstanding Achievement Award is presented to a deputy or staff member who excels in the performance of their duty above and beyond that which is required during their daily course of work. They have exercised competence and have been able to inspire others to improve the quality of their work. I'm honored to present Detective Coulter Cottle with the Outstanding Achievement Award in recognition for his extraordinary actions. While off duty, he noticed a stopped vehicle and recognized an individual in distress. Detective Cottle immediately stopped to help, quickly determined that life-saving intervention was needed, and began CPR. He continued his efforts for 45 minutes until emergency medical services arrived. Detective Cottle's swift and selfless response demonstrates exceptional courage, dedication, and professionalism. His sustained effort under challenging circumstances reflects the training and deep commitment to preserving life. Detective Cottle actions show the core value of the Cass County Sheriff's Office and speak to his character, integrity, and his sense of duty. And it's with honor and a privilege I award the Outstanding Achievement Award to Detective Coulter Cottle. Casey Sutherland, Outstanding Achievement Award, the Criminal Division. I would like to formally commend Deputy Casey Sutherland for his dedication, professionalism, and willingness to take the extra responsibilities. He is committed to the success of our organization. Deputy Sutherland's work in the motor unit stands out. His initiative and experience addresses key coverage needs. His teamwork and his leadership benefit the unit and our community. He efficiently handled ordering and setting up the new motors, managing all the transmission and the details for a smooth process. He shows exceptional leadership, organizing multi-agency motor escorts for 2 fallen officers, ensuring families were honored with dignity. His dedication to projects like the 250th anniversary coin, pin, and badge shows his commitment to excellence. Deputy Sutherland is a pillar of the organization, consistently performs at a high level and strengthening our team. And I'm pleased to award the Outstanding Achievement Award for the Criminal Division to Deputy Casey Sutherland. Detective Michael, excuse me. While he's walking forward, I'll read about him. I commend Deputy Michael Hepworth for his exceptional work, leadership, and professionalism. While multiple teams investigated crimes affecting juveniles across the states, Detective Hepworth showed strong leadership. He managed his caseload, coordinated between divisions, and helped secure multiple criminal charges. His updates to the phone extractions request improved investigative efficiencies and showed initiative. Detective Hepworth's recommendation to have a select group of detectives maintain official certifications demonstrates his practical problem-solving skills. This approach enhances the division's capacity to manage higher volumes of phone extractions requests and supports long-term case management for the Sheriff's Office. Deputy Hepworth's work, attitude, and drive exemplify the highest standards of the Cass County Sheriff's Office. His professionalism, integrity, and dedication are a credit to both himself and our agency, and I am pleased to award the Outstanding Achievement Award for the Criminal Division to Detective Michael Hepworth. Sergeant Holly Dixon from the Jail Division. This is a life-saving award for Sergeant Dixon. On June 24th, 2025, we had a medical emergency in the jail transformed into a routine Tuesday into a life or death crisis when a colleague and friend lost consciousness and stopped breathing. Medical staff performed compressions and Sergeant Dixon provided essential rescue breaths and helped save her life. Sergeant Dixon's leadership continued after her colleague's pulse returned. She recognized the ongoing impact on the staff, checked on their well-being, and sent them home to recover. She also personally supported the family at the hospital, demonstrating true leadership involves caring for both the individual and the professional. For her calm and decisive actions in this crisis, I am proud to nominate Sergeant Holly Dixon for the 2026 Life Saving Award. Okay, this is a life-saving award for the Jail Division. If I could have Jordan Godfrey, Kirsten Roundy, Landon Cook, Victor Estrada, Annika Merningham, Jeremy Kessler, and I don't know if the nurse is here, Daisy Martinez. Or necessarily. The life-saving ribbon is presented to an individual or individuals who were directly involved in saving the life of another for actions, if not taken, would most likely resulted in death of a person. Nurse Daisy Martinez asked Deputy Jordan Godfrey to check on an inmate in a medical cell. Godfrey and Deputy Roundy found the inmate with a head injury struggling to breathe. They began life-saving measures and called for support. Deputies Merningham, Estrada, and Cook and Jeremy Kessler helped gather resources and restrain the inmate for life support. After quick assessment, Nurse Martinez requested EMS to transport to Logan Regional Hospital, where the inmate had 2 grand mal seizures and needed further emergency care. Through effective collaboration, deputies and medical staff accurately assessed the situation and secured further medical care, ultimately saving the inmate's life. And I proudly honor these deputies for the 2026 Life Saving Award for their vigilance and decisive actions. A life-saving award for the Patrol Division. If we could have Deputy Derek Mon and Deputy Kevin Schaff. There's the two handsome devils right there. Deputy Derek Mon and Deputy Kevin Schaff showed exceptional courage and professionalism when responding to a medical emergency involving an electrocution. They immediately assessed the situation and began CPR upon arrival. Recognizing the severity of the incident, they continued life-saving efforts until EMS personnel arrived on scene. Working alongside with medical responders, and an AED was utilized, ultimately helping the patient regain consciousness and survive the ordeal. The swift response, decisive actions, and dedication displaying Deputy Mon and Schaff were critical factors in the incident patient positive outcome. Their commitment to preserving life reflects the highest standards of the Cass County Sheriff's Office and brings great credit to themselves and to our profession. And in recognition for their outstanding actions during this crisis, I am honored to present Deputy Derek Mon and Deputy Kevin Schaff with the 2026 Life Saving Award. If I could have Deputy Philip Voss come forward, an Outstanding Achievement Award for the Jail Division. An Outstanding Achievement Award is presented to a deputy or staff member that excels in the performance of their duty above and beyond which that is required on a daily course of work. They have exercised competence and have been able to inspire others to improve the quality of their work. Deputy Philip Voss is recognized for his work in the Jail Division. He created a 90-page booking guide to help deputies book inmates accurately and confidently. The guide helps all staff reduce mistakes and avoid problems from incorrect information. Thank you, Deputy Voss, for finding practical solutions to difficult problems, and I'm happy to present Deputy Voss with the Outstanding Achievement Award for the Jail Division and Deputy Voss. And if I can just make one other comment while you're standing there. That booking process isn't something you just think that is. That's just not a couple of boxes that you check. That's everybody's medical, it's their histories, it's where they can be housed, it's when their transports are, when their release dates are. Everything about our jail starts with the booking process. And any mistakes that we typically have in our organization, with especially new people, it starts at the booking thing, and that is a huge undertaking that you did, and thank you very much. Deputy McQuaid Allen. Do you hear? I'll read it for him. It's a life-saving award. On December 27th, 2025, Deputy McQuaid Allen responded to a report of a vehicle submerged in the river near 2200 West and 600 South with 3 occupants trapped inside sub-freezing conditions. When Deputy Allen arrived, a Utah High Patrol trooper was already in the river conducting rescue efforts. Deputy Allen immediately entered the water to assist, taking over care of a 71-year-old woman who had been removed from the vehicle and helping her to safety to the riverbank. Deputy Allen then assisted in rescuing a 7-year-old child and a 44-year-old woman from the submerged vehicle to safety. Working alongside the trooper, their combined efforts ensured all occupants were removed from the vehicle and turned over to EMS. Deputy Allen's quick response, sound judgment, and willingness to act in extreme conditions were critical in preventing loss of life. His actions reflect great credit on himself and uphold the highest standards of the Cass County Sheriff's Office. For his calm, decisive actions, I'm honored to nominate Deputy McQuaid Allen for the 2026 Life Saving Award. Okay, I'm gonna kind of do this one backwards. I'm gonna read an incident, and then I'm gonna invite him to come up. Okay. On June 29, 2025, deputies responded to a high-risk incident involving an armed suspect with homemade explosives who had already murdered his wife. Upon arrival, deputies were ambushed and came under fire. Despite the imminent threat, deputies from patrol and SWAT responded. The SWAT team exchanged gunfire with the suspect by evacuating nearby homes that were struck by the gunfire. Deputies established an evacuation point at a nearby church and set up an incident command at the church for a command center. Deputies requested additional resources from within the valley and a neighboring county. Sheriff's negotiators attempted to establish communication while tactical teams contained the suspect's home. Tactical drones located the individual, identified the suspect inside the home, and provided real-time video to the deputies who were on scene. A Bearcat tactical vehicle was used to breach the residence. After several hours without communication, tactical drones entered the home and located the suspect and his wife. SWAT team members entered to secure the suspect in the crime scene. The suspect was found deceased from homemade explosives, and his wife was found deceased with multiple stab wounds. Additional explosives, firearms, and ammunition were found inside the home. The Outstanding Achievement Award is presented to deputies or staff who excel in their duties, demonstrate competence, and inspire others to improve their work. Several deputies are being honored tonight for their individual contribution and bravery and dedication to the community safety. Each played a vital role in this case. So tonight we honor Deputy, you got Alcantar, Aaron Priest, if you guys could come forward. Deputy Ashton Hill, Deputy Dylan Hayden, Deputy Colton Peterson, Kevin Bennett, and Deputy Dallas Nybert. And with that, I'm going to go back one award. We got him here. So I just read you what the case was, and this award is to Deputy Alcantar. On June 29th, the deputy was first on scene at a dangerous incident where an armed suspect with explosives had stabbed his wife. He was ambushed, came under fire, and broke his hand while seeking cover. Despite his injuries, Deputy Alcantar stayed calm and continued his duties. He held his position. He provided real-time updates on the suspect and the risks to other homes, helping ensure safe and coordinated response. His courage and dedication represents the highest standards of law enforcement and brings great credit to himself and to the Cache County Sheriff's Office, and I'm honored to award him as well for the Patrol Division Outstanding Achievement Award. All of them did a fantastic job. Rather than reading all of them, every one of these gentlemen had their own specific thing that they did during that 7 or 8 hour standoff we had in Hiram, and want to thank them so much. And the neighbors, they were inside the house when the bullets were flying through the neighbors' trailers and homes. They never left their post, and they saved a lot of lives that day and should be commended, and thank them very much for the work that they did. I have Deputy Daniel Holtz, please come forward. Support Division Outstanding Achievement Award. Over the past year, Deputy Holtz has served in a challenging courtroom at the First District Court. He consistently showed professionalism and reassured court employees during procedural changes. When court staff had concerns, Deputy Holtz communicated with them promptly to leadership. He handled accusation and the judge's concern with professionalism and respect, helping calm tensions and maintain a strong relationship between the Sheriff's Office and the court. Deputy Holtz exemplifies the professionalism expected of our court security, and I am pleased to present him with the Outstanding Achievement Award for the Support Services Division. Okay, Deputy Travis Clark, Outstanding Achievement Award, Support Services Division. Agent, and I say agent because he's an agent with the Sheriff's Office Probation Unit. Travis Clark joined the Cass County Sheriff's Office Probation Unit in January of 2023. Despite limited experience, he quickly stood out for his dedication and work ethic. He takes pride in helping probationers become productive members of our community. He has set strong examples in several key areas. Agent Clark scheduled face-to-face visits even on office days, ensuring consistent contact. He regularly exceeds the probation unit's goals. He regularly suggests ways to improve the unit, working with colleagues to refine ideas. Agent Clark balances the needs of probationers and the community. Many recognize his genuine commitment, which helps probationers make positive changes in their lives. Agent Clark exemplifies the qualities of an outstanding probation agent, and we're proud to award him the 2026 Support Services Outstanding Achievement Award. That's okay, I can get it to her. Okay, the last one I have is for, it's a Sheriff's Award, and it's from me to somebody in the community, in the state, who's done something special for the Cass County Sheriff's Office. And tonight I would like to honor Representative Carrie Ann Lisenby. Representative Lisenby was elected to the Utah State House of Representatives in 2017. Since then, she has been the strongest advocate for the sheriffs, law enforcement, victims of crime, and the justice system reform. Representative Lisenby has written and passed legislation that has significantly improved public safety in our communities. Her initiatives include probation and parole reform, bail reform, justice accountability, reversing aspects of 2015 justice reinvestment, and several measures that protect and support victims. She has consistently worked to enhance public safety, equip law enforcement with all the necessary resources, ensure accountability for defendants, and prioritizes victims within the justice system. And I'm honored to be able to have worked with her for the last several years, 10 years actually, and recognize her for her outstanding work. I go to the legislature a lot, and in the 10 or 12 years that I've been going down there, there has not been another senator or representative at the state who has done more for public safety and law enforcement than Representative Lisenby. I don't take losing very well, and usually people, and I can be accused of it, and it's probably true that I'm outspoken, I'm blunt, I kind of say what it is. She's 10 times that. And if you have to go in an argument with somebody and want to win, who has the facts, who does the work, it's Representative Lisenby. And we wouldn't have in public safety, and particularly in law enforcement, what we have today without the work that she's put in the last 10 years. And she was going to be here, but I don't know where she's at. But I do want to make that presentation to her tonight because she is a valuable resource to us, and she's going to be sorely missed. So with that, that concludes our night. We thank you very much for letting us be here, and if it's okay with the chair, I'd like to excuse our staff so we can go take some photos and do that.
Thank you, and we appreciate you, Sheriff, for everything that you do. You're a great asset to our county.
Thank you. Lost half your audience.
2/3.
I know. Rest of us are left. Someone make sure that door gets closed. Well,
Sandy, with it being 5:30, do we want to do the public hearings and then?
I think we'll be okay to get a report from our executive real quick.
Okay.
And then we'll
But
do-
I mean for the items of special interest. That we're.
Yeah, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Hey, really quick, we're gonna turn a few minutes over to we'll let everybody get settled real quick. We'll turn a minute to our county executive, and then we'll move to our public hearings.
This is my chance to kind of give a report on what the county executive's office is doing. I'm going to ask my deputy, Kurt Webb, to provide a report about his interaction on Powder Mountain. Mr. Webb?
Kurt Webb, Deputy Executive. Powder Mountain creates for us some challenges because it straddles a line, and because of its location, services are required for the new development on our side of the border, but we're unable to provide it in most instances. Our job has been to find solutions that make sure that we can get services provided by contracting those services with Weber County without having to subsidize them from our part. Our progress of that is good. Almost every single one of the issues is now resolved, although they need to be memorialized with documentation, and we're working on that. So that's our situation. If there are any questions, happy to answer them.
Anybody have questions for Kurt? Okay, we look forward to seeing those documents.
Other projects we're working on, some of you are participating with our efforts to rewrite the airport authority and set up the governance for the airport. That activity is underway. The county attorney has helped us significantly. He sent the latest draft of the governance document to my office today, and I'll be reviewing them and responding. We met with Alex Berenson and are working on the Smithfield gravel pit. We had a meeting today with him. Tomorrow we have a meeting at 8 o'clock in the morning with Matt Phillips. We're going to ask him to review the location of the alternate road that we're requiring them to use and give us the timetables that are adequate for their construction of that alternate road. We're working on a fairgrounds agreement. I think we're close to finalizing that. Again, Dane's office has been critical in that effort. Eric Davis is point person on that task, and we'll be meeting with the city and talking with them about that tomorrow. The Fire Protection Board issues continue to be worked on. We had a Fire Protection Board meeting earlier today. Let me just make a general comment about the issues and what we're trying to do. The fundamental problem with the Airport Authority Board is a mismatch between where services are rendered and where taxes are collected.
The fire
board.
district.
What did I
said
say?
Airport.
Oh, I'm sorry, too many boards. Fire Protection District problem is and so one of the steps is to reallocate sources of funding with who benefits from the funding. And that is revenue neutral, meaning we're not increasing the taxes that Cache County levies, but we are changing who pays those taxes. Logan has not received substantial services from the county fire district. So the reallocation is to eliminate the taxation of Logan residents and concentrate that taxation on the areas in the county that benefit from the county fire department. So that's one step, is a reallocation. There's also a need to equalize the payment of taxes by citizens outside of Logan between cities and unincorporated areas. And so we're working on that. So those are the two things that we're working on. It's a difficult mathematical problem. It involves complex relationship with 19 cities. We're continuing to make progress. There's more to be done there. Those are the things we're working on.
Okay, thank you. For those of you following along on the agenda, we are going to move to our public hearings. We'll go back to item 6, the items of special interest, after we are required by law to get to as close as 5:30 as we can. So if someone wants to make a motion about 7A.
Madam Chair, I move to schedule a public hearing for May 26, 2026 at 5:30 for ordinance 2026-28, enacting county board per diem standards and planning commission compensation.
Second.
Okay, got a motion and a second that we schedule a public hearing for May 26 for ordinance 2026-28. Do I have any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so now we need to hold public hearings for ordinance 2026-20. Brian, are you gonna, this is our Riverside rezone.
Good evening, Brian Abbott, Development Services. Tonight, we have the Riverside rezone. This is located just north of Paradise, 600 west, 7800 south. Currently used for agricultural purposes with one single-family dwelling already on the property. In summary, the current request is to rezone 15.47 acres from A10 to RU5 zone. This will give it a max potential of 3 lots in that zone, including a lot with the existing single-family dwelling already on it. There are some non-developable sensitive areas present on site that could reduce the net developable acreage to under 15 acres, resulting in only 1 additional lot. It's located 3/4 of a mile north of the Paradise boundary. The nearest RU5 zone is approximately 1.6 miles northwest of this property. It is located within a future annexation area of Paradise. The Paradise town has no concerns, and the density conforms with their annexation plan. This was brought before the Planning Commission in April 2nd of this year. Planning Commission recommended approval of the rezone to the County Council on a vote of 6-0. Their conclusions were that the rezone request meets the standards of the RU5 zone. It allows for residential development in a moderately dense pattern that should be located and designed to not unreasonably impede adjacent ag uses, nor to unreasonably conflict with municipal development standards. This zone is appropriately served by roads, utilities, and public services. And again, this would result in 3 lots or less.
Thank you.
You bet.
This is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that's here to speak to this project? Now's your chance. Let me just give a few instructions with public hearings. We want you to come to the microphone, state your name clearly so that we know who you are, and we will try and keep comments to 2 minutes. And our nice friend Andrew there's going to give you a little signal when you've hit 2 minutes.
Ready? Go.
Thank you.
My name's Wayne Rood. I'm the owner of the property. The reason why we're doing this, we built our house there about 3 years ago. We need 2 more lots for our boys to build out there. We did improve the road and put the big circle drive in. The county had us do all that. So it's a paved road. And then there's 4 or 5 other properties that I've looked up that have met about the same, and they've been able to change theirs to an RU5. We tried to do an RU2, but we was part of that fiasco meeting that got shut down that they had. So, yeah, we're just trying to get our boys so they can build their houses out there.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else from the public that would like to speak to this project?
name's Travis. I'm the son, one of the lot takers, I guess. I work for my parents, and I work on the farm, do all the farming, and it's just been my dream to have my house out there, and I just ask that you guys allow it. We're not asking for a lot, just the 2 homes, and just so we can all be together. Thank you.
I'm Cody Root. I'm a son as well. I would like to build my home out there as well and raise my 2 little girls out on the farm and be able to work the land and everything like we did with our grandpa. And he did tell us before he passed away that it was a dream of his to have all of our family out there to work the land and keep it going as a cattle farm. So I would appreciate if it was approved for 2 more homes. Thank you.
Thank you.
These guys are all on the public record saying they want to live next to each other.
I know.
We'll remember that at Thanksgiving.
Is there anyone else that's here to speak to this project? Okay, someone make a motion.
Move to close public hearing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we close public hearing. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, now we move to ordinance 2026-21, amending chapter 17.14 on the resort recreation zone. Brian, is that, oh, Angie's gonna talk to us about that one.
Good evening, Angie Zetterquist, Planning Manager, Development Services. So these ordinance amendment proposals were triggered by the Powder Mountain master plan application and review process. What we found is that this RR zone and chapter of the code was drafted 20 plus years ago, and there was a lot of it that was out of compliance with current state code. So as just part of this overall process, we have proposed some amendments to get back into compliance and move on in case any new master planned resort recreation projects come through. So specifically, the issue was with chapter 1714.040, which was regarding development agreements. It was a step that was going to come after a master plan had been approved, but that was no longer allowed per state law. If there was something on the books that you could regulate a land use, then you couldn't do it through a development agreement after that. So we have proposed striking that entire section and replacing it with a section called development standards, because within the RR code right now, there are no development standards. So it's difficult to review projects against that. So we are proposing a couple of items there, which we'll go through in just a moment. And then there's just other minor cleanups that are proposed, as well as adopting a new approval process, which is referenced as Appendix A, as the previous one no longer applies due to the change in code. So again, the next 2 slides just show the whole 1714-40 development agreement section being stricken. And you can go to the next one. And then it would be replaced with this, development standards. So again, we're not adopting specific development standards because we realize each resort recreation project will probably have different context and not really be able to go with the standard development or setbacks that we normally have in all of our other zones. So the first new addition would be that development standards shall be specific to each approved master plan in the RR zone. And then it'll be a condition of approval with each master plan application that the applicant or proponent must submit development standards as an ordinance amendment after that, and then get that codified as part of 1714. And then within the boundary of approved master plan, parcel legality will not be applicable. So whenever somebody comes in with a project in any of our other zones currently, we have to look back to 2006. Previously it was 1970, to determine if parcels were still in the same size or configuration. With master plans for resort recreation having a minimum of 2,000 acre requirements, it seemed a little bit difficult to keep that parcel legality, have it be applicable still to these large projects. But they will still have to go through the entire subdivision process per our code, and all of their density will be based on what the equivalent density unit was that was approved as part of the master plan. So again, I think that takes care of it, and it doesn't allow for additional density because they're still limited to what was approved in the master plan. And then the final is these development standards that were adopted for the approved master plan, they still will not supersede any local, state, or federal requirements like the International Fire Code or building codes. So if something slips by in there, they're still held to those higher standards. And then just a couple of the other minor things that I mentioned. We just removed all references to development agreements in the section of code. We removed requirements to submit 11 paper copies as part of the application submittal. We had some miscellaneous language updates, and then if you go to the next one, just approval of this new updated approval process. I don't know if you've had any questions on it looking through it, but to the left-hand side, their other section of the Resort Recreation Code talks about development plan applications, which is kind of a quasi-CUP when they come in for larger commercial type of projects. It will go through that process, and then it'll flow to, well, actually, I'm sorry, the left is the master plan, and then right next to that, the blue circle above that is the development plan application, which again proceeds through Planning Commission like a conditional use permit, just with a different name, and then would proceed, once approved and all conditions of approval met, would proceed to our typical zoning clearance application and then building permit process. Below that, there's another blue circle talking about subdivisions, which would be for residential type of, actually this one right here. Yeah, residential type units, and that would go through the same kind of process. That also goes to Planning Commission, and then it would go through our zoning clearance process again to get to the building permit. But again, this is a graphical representation of that process that will be on file with the Development Services Department, not necessarily codified as part of the code, but there is a reference that it would just say to look on file at the Development Services Office. But that was presented to Planning Commission last month, and it was recommended approval to the County Council on a 6-0 vote. Do you have any questions?
Do you have any questions for Angie?
Do we want to ask him now, or?
We can ask him later.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks, Angie. All right, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone here to speak to this ordinance amending the resort recreation zone?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we close public hearing. Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, ordinance 2026-23, enacting chapter 3.88 of the county code regarding levies. I don't know who, is Matt, are you gonna present on that one? Who's gonna present to the council? I guess I should have asked that earlier, I'm sorry.
The ordinance before the council this evening would split off some of the general fund and split it into 2 levies. It does not increase, or it does not capture additional taxes. The taxes that the county collects stays the same. It allows for the special allocation of the tax for the fire department. Right now, that tax is being levied through the general fund, and it's being levied across Cache County, including Logan City. And Logan City residents, of course, receive no services or no significant services from the fire district, from the fire department. So this levy would allow us to stop taxing Logan for a service that they don't receive, and instead reallocate that tax to all areas of the county except Logan City.
Okay, perfect, thank you. Okay, this is a public hearing. Is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this ordinance? Please.
Hi, I'm Paul Guyman. I'm from Petersboro in Cache County, Utah. I'm very much opposed to this. It is indeed a tax increase to my house. It is a 3.4% tax increase to my property. I live in unincorporated Cache County, and which will continue to increase as you continue to increase my property value. My taxes since I've owned my home have increased over 44%. Put that into a number. So I do not support this proposed fire increase tax. It is indeed a tax. As proposed value rises the tax, it increases the additional burden and strain on homeowners in Mendon, Petersboro, and anywhere in unincorporated Cache County. Additionally, I want to address our agenda that we have on here is list code. It should be listing that this is a tax increase. It indeed is a tax increase. If we're subsidizing one county or one city in the county or one area in the county, saying that the fire district is going to benefit another area, I would also expect to see a decrease in my property tax for roads. I drive approximately on 1 mile of county road on any given day. I pay for far more than 1 mile of road. So I would hope that that is further addressed to help alleviate the tax burden that is being added to my household. I have brought this up multiple times to multiple members of the county council. Unfortunately, this is the only area that you allow public to know of this, and hiding it under a code and not addressing what it really is really problematic. I would hope that you address that in future tax increases that you propose.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that's here to speak to this ordinance?
Move to close the public hearing.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we close public hearing. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, let's go back up then in our agenda to 6. Let's do our items of special interest. The Bear River Mental Health Audit Presentation. Rob, thank you for being patient.
You bet. I have a hard copy of the audits for that. Thank you. Councilman. Thank you.
Thank you.
Rob Johnson, Bear Mental Health. The state code states that each member of the local substance abuse and mental health authority shall annually certify that he has received and reviewed the independent audit and have participated in a formal interview with the provider's executive officers. I'm here to fulfill that part of this of that code, and I'd just like to walk through some of the highlights. On page 5 is the independent auditor's report, and I'll be reading the second paragraph. In our opinion, the accompanying financial statements present fairly in all material respects the financial position of the center as of June 30th, 2025 and 2024, and the changes in its net assets and cash flows for the years then ended in accordance with accounting principles generally accepted in the United States of America. So that's stating that this was a clean audit. On page 9 is the statement of activities, or the income statement. Each year when I come to present, I like to point this out. Third line from the top there, the county funds, that just under $600,000. I like to look at our funding as kind of an inverted pyramid, and it's built on what the counties fund, the 3 counties, Cache, Rich, and Box Elder County. So that $599,000 matches the state dollars and allows them to flow to the area. And then those state and county dollars are used to match the Medicaid funding. So that $600,000 is really supporting that $21 million in revenue to provide services to the members of these 3 counties. You can see there at the bottom that the net increase this year was just over $3 million. If we flip to the next page, on page 10, there's a little more detail on our expenditures. We're a service organization. You can see that most of a little over 73% of those funds are used for personnel. And then the other big line item there is professional services, and the big chunk of that $3 million is to pay for hospitalizations of Medicaid people who need to be in the inpatient units. If we turn to page 24, this is the independent auditor's report on internal control and other matters. The last, there at the bottom, given these limitations during our audit, we did not identify any deficiencies in internal control that we consider to be material weaknesses. However, material weaknesses may exist that have not been identified. And if we switch over to the next page, page 25, the auditors also state at the end of that first paragraph The results of our test disclose no instances of noncompliance or other matters that are required to be reported under government auditing standards. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have any.
Thank you for bringing this. I'd like to digest it a little bit too, but does anyone have any specific questions for Rob while he's here?
I got one. How many years has Carver, Floric, and James LLC done this audit?
I think this is their 6th, and they're going to do the next year because of some specific things, and then we'll go back out to bid.
Every 7 years, then you're going to bid.
Yeah, we usually do 5, but we've had some real problems with Medicaid switch their accounting software, and we have not been able to get good reports. Carver, Floric, and James used to be the Medicaid auditors, and they've got connections there, and it's just been helpful to have them do it.
Thank you.
You have something else, Nolan?
That was my exact question, so.
Does this audit reflect any changes, or will there be any changes with you guys integrating into Bear River Health Department?
Yeah, so we are going to have the substance abuse join us, the health department, substance abuse, it'll be Bear River Behavioral Health Services, and this does not reflect any of that, nor will the next audit.
Okay.
But that happens July 1st, the start of the next fiscal year.
What sale of assets did you have last year that was $500,000?
Yeah, we had gone in with the health department and developed a place out in Tremont and up in Garden City. And we were trying to get our name on the deed. And the health department said, maybe it's time to, let's not put your name on the deed, we'll buy you back out of that, so.
Oh, okay.
They've been great partners in a lot of things, and we just sold our interest back to them.
Anybody else have questions?
I have a question.
Okay.
Rob, I noticed that you have cash and equivalents of $16.3 million last year, and it's gone up to $20 million. Is that just simply cash that's held on your balance sheet?
Yeah, yes it is.
Accumulated year to year?
Year to year, and it will be going down this year along with the receiving center that's being built. We're building a 20-unit apartment complex out west of the auto place out there in town, and we will be using some of that balance sheet money to fund that.
And is that just in financial instruments? Is that what
It's almost all with the Public Treasurer's Investment Fund.
And that's a very sizable amount of cash held. Do you have any debt?
We do have some debt. It's very small. We built a facility over in Brigham City with some money from the Walker Housing Trust Fund. It was started out as a cash flow mortgage. The project never cash flowed, so now it's just it's an outstanding debt that we won't need to pay back unless we change what we do with that facility. Sell it or change the use of that facility.
I'm complimentary of your financial position, but it looks like last year your financial position improved $4 million.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And when I come next year, it'll be a really big number. You won't see cash growing like that, but this money for the receiving center is flowing into Bear River Mental Health. It's being spent, so we're not having the cash increase, but that project will be depreciated over a 25-year period, so we won't have those expenditures in the net income next year. So we'll have another very big net income, but the cash won't have the corresponding increase.
So I would presume if the county needs funding, you'd be able to make us a loan?
George. Okay, anybody else have questions for Rob? Thank you.
I just have a question.
Please.
I just noticed that there's no elected people in your board or there. Is that common or?
We had people from the 3 counties, and we went through some stuff with the county attorneys and decided that it was maybe a conflict of interest to have them on our board. So that's just been in the last year or two that has gone away.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks for bringing us that report, Rob. We appreciate you. Okay, our ARPA funds report, Alma.
Alma Burgess, Grant Administrator for Cache County. This is not an all-inclusive report on ARPA. It's just dealing with some specific things that I would like to discuss with you just so we can get things wrapped up. So I just wanted to give you a very high-level overview, especially for some of the council that may not have been involved in this. ARPA came from March of 2021. This is related to the pandemic that we all lived through, and now we can tell our posterity that we lived through a pandemic. ARPA, the overall umbrella law, funded $1.9 trillion, specifically the ones that came to the states and the counties and municipalities, was called the State and Local Fiscal Recovery Funds, and that was $350 billion. Cache County's portion of that came in two deposits, almost $25 million. Over the time since March of 2021, the council has been presented many projects. The council approved 75 of those projects. 67 of the projects have been completed, and there's 8 left to be completed. Next slide. So the ARPA funds, that $25 million, there was a standard allowance of $10 million that could be used on government revenue, replacement of government revenue, and that could be used on anything government related. But the other amount of money, the $15 million, nearly $15 million, needed to be eligible, and it had to fit into these categories and meet certain criteria for each of them: public health, economic impact, revenue replacement, that was the $10 million, and infrastructure. So by the end of 2024, December 31st of that year, all of the funds had to be obligated in a contract, and they were. And now we're facing, in the report that I'm giving you is just the money that's left to be spent. It's been all obligated. Now it needs to be spent. And those funds need to be spent by the end of this year, December 31st, 2026. So remaining amount, just a couple of days ago, we've had even a little bit more spent, $903,000 needs to be spent. The projects that are on target, and these didn't come into question, and I'll explain this a little bit in a minute. Public Works had some money in their storm sewer culverts projects, and they are on target to spend those out by this summer. The Senior Center had some money obligated or awarded to them, and that will be spent out this summer as well. Development Services for the Deep Canyon project, building the trailhead, and that money will be spent, the remaining money will be spent in August. And then the Veterans Center was awarded some money, and they will be spending it over the next couple of months. So in on November 24th of 2025, you can go to the next slide. So I'm going to kind of explain this, or give a little bit of information here. So in November of 2025, I went to the Appropriations Committee and visited with them and said there were some projects that haven't spent their money. They've been awarded the money. They haven't been spending it. And after some discussion, the Appropriations Committee made a recommendation to the council that these funds needed to show some significant progress by the end of March of 2026. That was presented to the council, this body, and you discussed that it needs to be spent. We want to make sure that that was done and taken care of. And so you approve the recommendation from the Appropriations Committee and ask that the finance staff contact these 5 entities stating that they had not, spent out or requested some funds. And so in the left column is the entity or the project. The next one is what they were awarded. And so in December, that balance there is the 3rd column. And then there is the date in May of their balance that they have left to spend. So you had this in your packet. And if you have any questions, we can answer them in a minute. I have one more slide if you can go to that, Andrew. So the Bear River Association of Governments submitted a plan to me, and I'm telling you what they said that they could do is over the next couple of quarters, they will be able to spend $35,000, but there is about $18,000 that they will not be able to spend by the end of the year. The Bear River Health Department said that they submitted a plan and they could spend out all of their balance of just a little over $65,000 by the end of November of this year. The Cash Refugee and Immigrant Connection, they have said that they will request by June the remaining almost $6,500. The public defenders, they have only spent about $2,800 since they've been awarded, and $1,300 of that was just recently. So that leaves on the table about $18,700. The problem with that is they have some people that they could submit or do these assessments, but the assessments take quite some time, and we're not sure how much they cost. I've talked with the public defender, and he said it's okay to pull this back because they just don't know when they're going to be able to spend it. So do you have any questions about the ARPA? And kind of what we're looking at is there's a remaining amount in 2 projects, an $18,000 and $18,700 that they will not be able to spend. Brought it to this body so that you can make that decision. If we pull those funds back, they can be reallocated, and we've done that in the past. There was some remaining money from some other projects that have been approved by the council and approved in a budget amendment and have been moved from that project that couldn't spend them to the 20 sewer and stormwater projects in public works.
Alma, can it wait until our next appropriation meeting so the Appropriations Committee can discuss things to bring to the council to do with that money? Andrew, do you remember the exact timing? June, we meet in June, right?
June 1st.
Yes.
June 1st, thank you. Okay.
Are there proposals?
Well, I
Do you
think
have
we.
proposals?
Yeah, it could be.
What's that?
Do you have proposals?
Proposals.
For
spend that
to
30
spend the funds?
So these funds, like the other funds, have been moved from that project that couldn't spend them. They could be moved to the public
Another
works.
public works one?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I've talked with Matt Phillips, the Public Works Director, and he will be spending out the money, sometime in the summer. But he asked earlier for a pot of money from another pot, not ARPA, but it is related to ARPA, and it's LATCF funds. He requested $150,000 of that, and that was approved in a budget. So he will use that money. He anticipates about half of that he will use. If these funds, through the Appropriations Committee and this body, the council, approve that, then it would just kind of offset those funds, and he wouldn't use as much of the $150,000 from the LATCF. Other questions?
Do we have questions for Alma?
The other entities that you have here that says we can't spend it, have you received like documentation that says that they've written you and says,
Yeah.
take care of it? Make sure.
They will spend it. Yes, I received an email from Bear River Health Department, or BRAG, and they said they would not be able to spend those $18,000. The Bear River Health Department said that they would be able to spend out the $65,000. Yep.
you got that in paper,
Yeah.
Okay,
get
thanks.
it back and reappropriate it.
We'll look at that at the appropriations meeting on June 1st.
Okay.
And bring a recommendation to the council.
Thank you.
Thanks, Alma.
I'll stay there because we're doing wraps.
Yeah, you may as well stay there, because the next thing on our list is the RAPS, restaurant tax recommendations.
So I have another presentation. I wanted to give you kind of a high-level overview of the Wraps and Restaurant Tax Program. It's actually two different sets of money, but it is in one application process. So the overview of the restaurant tax, it started in 1992, and different things that it can be used on is the capital projects, maintenance for publicly owned and operated facilities, tourism, recreational facilities, cultural arts, in a convention center and an airport. And a private nonprofit can use it for the restaurant tax for tourism promotion only. The next one. So on the RAPS, this was approved by the voters in 2002, and it's known as the RAPS, R-A-P-Z, and that stands for Recreation, Arts, Parks, and Zoo. These can be used for capital projects and operating expenses of publicly owned or operated facilities, and those funds are used in recreation or park facilities and for ZUTA, and for operating expenses. Private nonprofits can use them if they are a botanical or a cultural organization. They can be used for operating expenses. Next one. So the whole process, the application, there's one application for both funding sources, or pots of money, if you will. These are due by March, or the first Friday in March. The Wraps and Restaurant Board meets in April. These recommendations are submitted to the council, which we're doing this evening. And the council has until the second meeting in May to approve the recommendations from the Wraps and Restaurant Board. In 2026, this year, there was 89 applications. They were all reviewed by the board members. And of those 89, there was 17 municipalities and 43 nonprofits. Some had multiple projects that they submitted. Next one. So the total request from the entities was $6,800,000 plus. The funds available was, you'll see there, 5.4, not quite $5.5 million. The total recommendations that you have before you total $4,691,055, and then it's divided out into the restaurant and the RAPS tax. So you have those, each of those entities and their requested amount, their funded, or their the recommendation from the board. So do you have any questions for me? For you?
Does anybody have questions for Alma? Thank you, that was a really good presentation. Thank you.
It was short, right?
Yeah, it was good, but it was very concise. We understood everything. Okay, thank you. We might have more questions later when we discuss it. Okay, initial proposals for consideration of action. Ordinance 2026-20, the Riverside 2 rezone. Brian, do you want to come up in case someone has any questions for you? Okay. All right. Does anyone have any thoughts about that, or do you have questions for Brian?
I have a question.
Okay.
So it was discussed in there that this is going to an RU5, which would be possible of 2 additional lots.
Yes.
But we haven't decided based on undevelopable land or uncounted land that it may come down to only 1 buildable.
Potentially, yeah. They'll have to get a survey done to see if there's steep slopes or sensitive areas on there. There may or may not be.
Okay, and you're aware of that? Thank you. Just wanted to clarify that.
No problem, thank you.
I had a question too. I think the nearest similar zone was
1.6.
1.6, yeah. Sometimes that's a deal breaker, and when I've seen zones reviewed. With this one, I'm guessing it wasn't because it's so close to the city? Is that
Yeah.
how they made that determination? Okay.
Didn't we pass something not very long ago that they had to be within if they're within a half mile, they hit the .5?
It's been discussed.
And if it's less than 3 lots, that doesn't, if it's 3
Yeah, or
lots or
this is
less,
only
it did
3
not
lots.
Okay.
apply to
And
that ordinance.
But we did pass that.
Yeah,
but
we
it
did.
just doesn't,
But it's over 3 lots.
doesn't
But with
fit
that
that
being
condition.
over, well, I guess then it probably still should work, but, I'm a little worried on that sensitive land thing, that whether that can still be,
Yeah, if that is a problem and
Work
it
with them,
limits
you
it,
know.
then they won't get that additional lot.
Yeah, basically, I just wanted to get that on the record, so if someone applies for a zone again and it's denied because they say, well, the nearest zone was only 1 mile away on mine, how come that one got passed? We have an answer, which is it was adjacent to a city.
Okay, does anybody else have questions, things you want to discuss, or someone want to make a motion?
I'd move that we suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2026-20 by supporting the Planning and Zoning Commission on the Riverside 2 rezone.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, it's approved. All right, ordinance 2026-21. And does anyone have any questions for Andy? Andy, I have looked at that, and I actually feel like I need more time. I don't know how the rest of you guys feel, but I'm still kind of trying to go through it and understand it. So I don't have specific questions for you yet, but in the next 2 weeks, I will be calling you. And that's how, unless everyone else wants to pass it tonight.
No, I had a question about, maybe you could just give us an example of if they want to add a lift.
So that's part of their master plan.
Right.
So they had a few lifts shown on there, I forget the number, but, so that's all part of that package. But, the ski lifts have been determined, I don't know if you have that process flow chart.
The flow chart?
Yeah. So they do not go through the development plan application or a subdivision, obviously. They would just go straight to the zoning clearance application process and then to the building permit. So you can see where that is, here. Master plan ski lifts would proceed to the zoning clearance application and follow that flow.
Who does the zoning clearance application? That was one of my questions, that ZCA.
So, yeah, typically, you know, people want to come in and build a single-family dwelling. This is the application process they go through. There's a list of submittal items, you know, we need site plan, elevations, floor plans, all of that. And that gets distributed to the different departments, public works, zoning, fire district, and then there's the different levels of, in public works for roads, for any survey or road dedication requirements. So it's kind of a staff level review. And then actually I, as the planning manager, would sign off on any approvals on those zoning clearances.
So they wouldn't go to planning and zoning or to the council? Okay.
So is it fair to say that once the planning commission approved the master plan, then everything pretty much has a soft green light unless it is in violation of a state code or can't get a building permit or something like that?
Yeah, or doesn't comply with the development standards, which
Okay.
have to be adopted also as part of the process. So that's still moving forward for Powder Mountain.
So this ordinance primarily just removes the development agreement and replaces it with what's already been approved in the master plan.
It's already been approved and then has those additional requirements that they have to submit development standards for their project to be adopted as part of their conditions.
I have a question. Does it seem like they dropped the county council out of the process?
Yeah, that was the development agreement section, and that was because of the change in state laws.
So I was gonna ask you to kind of clarify that development agreement part.
So development agreements per state code, and I think I printed out something to help us along on this. So if their development agreements may not be used to limit a county's authority in the future to enact a land use regulation or take any action allowed under a different section of code, it's supposed to only be used as a legislative act when there's not something in the code already that regulates it. So since we already had the RR zone established and a process that adopted the master plan first, that development agreement portion that came after an administrative act to the legislative act became moot. So we couldn't do that. And what it did was it kind of tightened up different development standards and things, and that had to be approved by council. But again, state law, I think was 2-3 years ago, changed, and so that wasn't allowed anymore. So we did do a couple of little development agreements with Powder Mountain for specific ski lifts and stuff while we were working through the master plan process. But now that that's done, they would not be able to do that either anymore. So.
Yeah, I think there were 3 that we approved while they were in the process of getting the master plan approved.
As well as some art trails and stuff.
Yeah.
A maintenance facility.
So I had a question. I've been sitting through this whole development, maybe Kurt can answer this. One hesitation I have is where do interlocal agreements come in here? Because Powder Mountain came and proposed all of these things, and yet we didn't have an interlocal agreement so that we would know where we're sitting on the cost of what tax revenue we're getting and everything else. And from my standpoint, I'd like to understand, or we have a point that talks about interlocal agreements before we get too far down the road. And we basically encourage them to proceed, yet we don't have an understanding of interlocal agreements. And I think that's
what Kurt was working on.
And can I piggyback on what you said and just clarify that we are talking about EMS, you're talking about water, fire, because Weber County is going to cover it. We're going to reimburse them for it. What's the difference at the end of the day of what we collect in tax revenue versus what we pay Weber?
And I'd like to know that up front before.
Same. It's good to know the terms of the deal before.
Yeah.
And Angie, I have a question. So on this chart, so if there's a hotel, commercial, multifamily, or mixed use, it does go to the planning and zoning.
Mm-hmm.
And a subdivision plat still goes to planning and zoning, but single-family homes do not?
Well, that would be part of the subdivision review. So
Okay.
that's our typical process right now. We'll do a subdivision, but each individual single-family home in that subdivision doesn't have to go back to planning commission.
So
That's
those-
that staff level zoning clearance
Okay,
application.
those still come through planning commission. It's just the ski lifts, basically, that are already included in the master plan.
Right.
Okay.
You made a comment that said, this doesn't fit very good with what we had, doesn't fit very good with such a large project. Clarify that.
So again, to submit a master plan application for the resort recreation, it's a minimum of 2,000 acres. So when we're looking at other things that we have, like a 30-foot front yard setback or side yard setbacks, those are for lots in the A10, RE2, RE5 zone. And so given that this is such a large project, or they are going to be larger projects, and the context is going to be different, topography is going to be different, it just makes sense that we don't have 30-foot setbacks for everything when it might be not possible in the context of that. So that's why we're looking at adding that section for development standards where they need to submit those standards for their project and have it reflect that unique context and character.
What would you use those development standards that they provide, what were you gonna then compare them with? To make decisions?
So yeah, they actually have large documents that their architectural review boards and stuff review. So we're piggybacking on that. And they actually have much more robust standards than we do in our code for all of our other zones. So they're going to be held to a higher standard anyway. But again, to me, it's that difference and comparing in between like a house, single-family home on an A10 parcel versus condo multifamily units on this RR zone that we don't even have standards for in the A10 because we don't allow in any other zone. So just they're apples and oranges, so it just makes sense to have them craft their own and have that reviewed and approved by, and those would be reviewed and approved by Planning Commission and Council. So
Most of that is addressed in their master plan.
it is not addressed in their master plan. That's why they have to submit those separately before they can get.
Sorry, so the process and the expectation is?
Yeah, it would be a condition of approval of the master plan and was on Powder Mountains.
And along those same lines, there's, looking at state code, it seems like the intent of resort recreation includes public access components. Who determines how much of a resort recreation should be accessible to the public, and how is that determination made? Because it didn't seem very clear to me on a certain percentage should be, or it just the language seems like the intent should be for
think,
the benefit of public good, or I can't remember how it worded it, but.
Yeah, I don't think there's state law on that. I believe the public comments that you may be referring to kind of focus on our definition for resort recreation in the
Right.
county code. And yeah, there is nothing that defines that.
Okay, and I guess my next question is if as a council we wanted to define that more explicitly, would they already be grandfathered in with the prior definition anyway, so it wouldn't, yeah.
So it would be for any future resort recreation projects, but not this one.
Thanks.
Okay, what other questions for Angie? Does anyone want to make a motion on that, or do we want to continue that?
I'm fine with continuing it.
Okay. Do that, and we'll get back to you with some questions. Okay. Ordinance 2026-23, the county code regarding levies, enacting chapter 3.88.030. Anybody want to speak to that? Have questions for Matt?
Yeah, I'd like to address the public comment made by Mr. Guyman.
Okay.
And I know George loves talking about taxes too, so he may want to chime into this, but, and I wish he was here because I'd love to engage with him after the meeting as well. But I know he talked about his taxes have gone up 40%. I can't remember what the time,
30%, he said.
what the time period was, 10 years or something.
But it's not true.
Well, I want to address that because I've heard that comment a lot, so that's why I'm just bringing this up in the public, which is anytime I've sat down with someone and looked at their specific parcel, their home value usually looks like this on the chart, and their tax kind of looks like this. So the gap is actually wider. So proportionally, I mean, I guess to use an analogy, you could say 10 years ago, I was able to go to my favorite sandwich shop and buy a footlong for $5, and I was taxed 50 cents on this. And now that same sandwich is $10, and I'm being taxed 75 cents. So my taxes have gone up 50%, but proportionally they haven't. If they were proportional, you'd be paying $1 tax on that $10 sandwich. So I think that's just sometimes a misunderstanding of the proportion. So obviously things get more expensive. Our plows use more fuel that's gone up in cost. Wages have to be paid higher. So it would be unreasonable to expect that the amount you pay, you'd be getting the same level of service for not having your dollars go up. But actually, because the county grows, proportionally you're paying less. So you're getting a better deal. So anyway, I just want to address that. And then the second point he made was, you know, I only drive on this one road. Why am I paying, you know, for everyone else's? Emergency services still use other roads. Packages that are delivered to you still use those roads. You know, the county operates just not on what everyone uses. It'd be really hard to make that determination.
And
Also,
plus
by that
the cost of a road, you know,
right,
the amount, he's never going to pay for that road himself.
Right.
Yeah.
By that same standard, I live in Logan, you live in Logan, Sandy lives in Logan. We have our own fire department. We don't require the services of the county for that fire department. So it's interesting that the statement would be made, I'm not using these other roads, I don't want to pay for it. Ergo, Logan residents that aren't using the services of the county fire department should subsidize the cost of my services. As a council member that represents Logan, if I'm trying to do what's in the interest of my constituents, they're adequately serviced by their fire department. So I would look out for their interests and make sure they have representation in their taxation. So that's my perspective. That's my response to his comments.
And I wish Mr. Guyman was still here because he had been publicly posting on social media what he believed his taxes were. Kurt actually pulled his taxes for the last 5 years, and it would be, if you're listening, Mr. Guyman, we'd be happy to show you. It's not what you think. And I think a lot of people feel like, we just found this last year with our whole taxation process, that there is some misunderstandings where because your house, like you said, Keegan, just because the value of your house has gone up significantly, there has not been a commensurate rise in your taxes at the same level. And that's hard for people because that's what they think. But anybody who's listening or anybody who would like to look up their personal property tax for the last 5 years, Kurt has a web or a little spreadsheet that he can pop your address in, and anyone that has questions about that, he would be able to give you those answers.
What was Kurt's phone number?
George, do you want to add anything to that, or did I cover it?
No, I think the misunderstandings about property tax are encouraged by some of the things we do with respect to them. The truth in taxation is almost ridiculous the way that's set up. I get a kick out of the state legislature telling us that when we tax this, when the county grows and we have more taxable property, that results in a truth in taxation hearing. They don't talk about increasing taxes when they generate more revenue from income taxes, not because they raise the tax percentage, but because they raise more money. But if our levy raises more money, then we've raised taxes. And the misunderstandings are significant, and I think we just have to push back against them. I think we unduly limit the county and its capabilities if we don't treat it in a rational way. I acknowledge what you said about county residents don't use tax or elect or fire services outside of Logan. But to some extent you do. You live in this valley. You don't want to see the mountains burn. You don't want to see another. So there's one thing that we need to do a better job of allocating, but I think we also need to do a better job of equalizing. And that's what we're trying to do. And gosh, it has been difficult to get people to see that the allocation has to be reasonable, but so does the equalization have to be reasonable. And it creates some problems to get to where we need to be. But once we're there, then we properly allocated and we properly equalized, I think things will be much better.
If I could amend my statement, maybe not that Logan residents don't use it, but they're paying disproportionately for the amount that they would potentially use. Probably be more accurate.
That is more accurate.
Okay, is any further discussion? Someone want to make a motion on that ordinance?
I will go ahead and suspend the rules, and on ordinance 2026-23, recommend we pass it, enacting chapter 3.88.030 of the county code regarding levies.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we suspend the rules and pass ordinance 2026-23. Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, 2026-25, enacting appointment and advice and consent procedures. Andrew.
Give me 1 second.
Good evening, Council. The ordinance before you is Ordinance 2026-25. It enacts advice and consent procedures. So here's an overview of the ordinance. Mainly, it's just standardizing advice and consent and associated administrative procedures. I'll say this, I think one of the most important jobs that the County Council does, especially given your part-time nature, is to vet and give advice and consent to proposed appointments who will eventually either directly with the county or another association or entity, essentially work on behalf of the public. And right now, the current lack of advice and consent procedures, I think, is limiting in that very important responsibility. So this would be helping to address that. So the goal of the ordinance is to formalize a process between the executive and legislative branches through clear, consistent procedures for appointments and record management. So the reason for the ordinance is mainly it stops an appointment from being presented in a meeting. And this isn't something that, I don't think that's anything that's just been done on purpose to mislead the council or catch anyone off guard. I think that's just been practice, and I think it's just been carried down. And frankly, I think it doesn't give the county council enough time to vet those names. So there'd be that portion of it. Plus, it just makes sure that there's a paper trail, so there's better tracking, and it helps fulfill the requirements of the Cache County Optional Plan. So the specific, there are two specific requirements. So the first one would talk about orders of appointment from the county executive, and then the second category would just be all the other appointments. So the ones that the county executive make right now are through orders of appointment. This would just be codifying that. It would those orders of appointment would contain the appointee names, specific board titles, term lengths, expiration dates. It would require that the names are put before the county council 7 days beforehand, just like any other item. That way you can all at least look and review or reach out with any questions. It explicitly authorizes the members of the county council to request resumes or CVs to verify the appointees meet legal board requirements. And it requires that the orders of appointment are available to the media and posted publicly. So then there are the non-executive appointments, which apply the same standard as they would for the executive appointments, with the only exception being the county executive is the only one who can issue orders of appointments. Otherwise, it would just be via resolution or any other legal mechanism that would contain those names. But yes, same timeline requirement, same requesting information. It's the same for the county executive versus anyone else. Does anyone have any questions on this?
What's a CV?
A CV, it's a curriculum vitae. It's kind of like a giant list of like all the projects you've worked on.
It's Latin.
I think so.
Andrew, at one point we talked about a background check requirement for those serving on boards. Did that make it in here?
This is not in this proposal.
Code where it belongs? Or?
So I did speak to Amy about this morning. That would be a separate proposal that's coming to ONP. I want to sit down with Amy first and brainstorm some ideas, and then the committee also said to talk to the executive, and so I wanted to also speak with him once me and Amy have something put together. But that would actually be more appropriate for the county administrative code, since it's not really a thing for county code, but it's also not for the employee handbook, essentially. So I don't know if that answers your question.
Yeah, as long as the discussion is ongoing, I think it's something that should be explored.
I agree.
So, good.
Okay, anybody else want to ask a question or make a motion?
Based on this, do we have the other side of this, the proper tracking of the terms and everybody who's on a committee or whatever, as to how their terms are going and when that comes back up, so that we're keeping track of that?
I believe the county clerk is implementing a system. A lot of it is still, how do I say it? There's a lot of information to track, and it's still being gathered from a lot of sources, but it is being put together. And this would help with that, especially if there's a requirement to say this person's date expires, appointment expires this date, which is already in the orders of appointment, but usually they're not always sent to the clerk's office or put in specifically with that tracking. So this would help with that.
Any way of increasing some of the length and duration of some of those appointments, like those that we, certain districts, like Millville, Nibley Cemetery, and couldn't we like make those 20 years or something?
I wish, Dave, I wish. That's
Until you're in the cemetery?
You're there until you're there.
Exactly.
You know?
Does seem like those are unnecessarily short term.
How does the county executive feel about the new restrictions or requirements?
I think it's fine. I think we need to have a little more time to make sure these people are vetted. I think we also talked about going through a couple of standard processes with respect to appointments of people, so that we check their criminal record and so forth, and we just need to be a little more thorough and thoughtful about appointments. Appointments are going to be more important as we delegate powers to airport authority boards and fire boards, and we just need to make sure we're getting the right people in the right position and getting feedback over their performance. So I am entirely supportive of this, and I intend to do as good a job as I can to vet the individual that we appoint. I know I came in and I was immediately confronted with these appointments, and I didn't really have time to figure out what was happening, and I'm not saying I regret some of the appointments, but I would be more thoughtful about it now after having worked in the position I'm in for 4 or 5 months.
Andrew, where it says that the county council members could request a resume.
Or just other it's basically just to make sure that you have information on a person to maybe reach out to them.
I just wonder if we could make it less formal than that, because there's a big difference in just a name and then a full resume, which some people might not even have at their disposal.
Well, I know, I understand. It just says that you may ask for it.
Yeah,
It doesn't say that you have to.
Yeah, it'd be nice to say, I'm appointing this person, they've lived in Mendon for 35 years, they're qualified for this because of these things. Just something simple that's not really a resume, but gives us some information.
Or like some sort of qualification or history, personal history.
Yeah, and I think I would like that almost every,
It's almost
and
like
I don't want to have to
profile.
ask for it. I think we should have it for every nominee, right?
Do we want to formalize that in an ordinance, or could we just ask the executive?
I think
The May is
what we need
good.
to do is recognize there's differentials in what we're appointing people to.
Yes.
I doubt we need a resume to be on the cemetery district board.
No, but even to say,
However, a fire board,
yeah.
if we're choosing mayors, that may not be the best example. The better example is really the airport. And I think we ought to be very careful about getting a resume, maybe even checking sources and references, and financial check, criminal check. Just do a really careful job on those kinds of appointments.
But even on like a cemetery board appointment, if we get to vote on it and all I have is a name, sometimes they come and talk to us, but it would just be nice to have a brief, something that it would be way less than what I would like from the airport board, but I think something.
I will try and match what we want with that. I just will try and match it, and then you can give me directions if I'm not matching it, but.
Perfect.
I think it's almost impossible to say exactly what we want for what position, but.
I think the time issue is probably the best, because it also allows, for example, communication even with each other in between, and hey, I know so-and-so, I know so-and-so. Look into them, that they could really be helpful. They could be helpful on planning and zoning or something like that, I think that communication, by having that time, could probably help, and, oh yeah, I know them, and these are the kind of people that they are.
Yeah, if we amended this to say, in addition to CV and resume, stated reasons for the recommendation, would that be sufficient? Or do you always want that no matter what, even if it's not requested?
I think it's very specific to which committee or what they're being considered for.
Yeah, I'm okay with this. the way it is, if George will do a good job of, or, trying to give us a little more information, and then if we get him 7 days in advance, that gives us the opportunity to ask, like, hey, I'd like to know a little bit more about this person. Because sometimes it won't matter, and it's not as important. So I think the way it's written is probably okay. We'll just, as we go along, if we're not getting what we need, we can change that, but I think we're probably good.
Yeah, I think this is a good step forward.
Yeah.
So if I could make a motion then
Please.
to suspend the rules and pass ordinance 26-25, enacting the appointment and advice and consent procedures.
Second.
Been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance 2026-25. Those in favor say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. E. Andrew, that's also you.
How did this one come about?
That you
Yeah,
don't-
that's my question.
This is also named as the feed the duck.
You might get to give this presentation uninterrupted for the first time.
I want to see ducks listed in here specifically.
This is actually it's a good one though.
I'm rooting for you.
Good evening again, council. This is going to be the more fun item that I present on. This is ordinance 2026-26. This comes from originally the county sheriff, and since Sandy is assigned as his liaison, Sandy authorized me to begin work on this. So, ordinance 2026, it proposes an enactment to county code that would prohibit, and this is just the original as it stands now, it would prohibit the intentional feeding of wild animals in the unincorporated areas of Cache County. Why is this necessary? Well, in general, to protect the health, safety, and welfare of citizens and the vitality of wild animals in unincorporated Cache County. Specifically, the reason why the sheriff requested this is due to an excessive amount of wild turkeys out in Mendon. Apparently, people like to feed them. It causes property damage. Funny enough, some of you know that I got a root canal yesterday, and while I was on the laughing gas, I asked my dentist who lives out in Mendon, I said, "Doctor, do you have any wild turkeys out there? Do you see them a lot?" And he said, "Oh yes, and people love to feed them, and it's just not nice for the rest of us." And I thought, what a coincidence. I'm presenting on this tomorrow. So it is a real problem. Right now, we just don't have anything on the books to enforce. So
Didn't the sheriff say there was a reflection in the truck and caused damage to property?
Yep.
So I think that was part of the concern too.
Yep, that too. But yes, in general, mitigating chronic wasting disease, reducing vehicle-animal collisions, preventing the attraction of predators into neighborhoods, addressing damage caused by nuisance wildlife, such as wild turkeys, and preventing wildlife habituation, which means just losing their natural fear of humans. So in the code enactment, it would be unlawful to intentionally feed wild animals or make food available for their consumption, with certain exceptions. It enacts some key definitions, such as what is a wild animal, what constitutes feeding, and what is an agricultural animal versus a wild animal.
You need to add turkeys in your wild animal?
It said, et cetera.
Oh.
Poultry's, I believe, includes turkeys, right?
But that's under ag.
Oh, true.
If you want.
Yeah, that's a domesticated turkey versus a wild turkey. You're correct. But, so the exceptions to the prohibition, so this ordinance would not apply to normal agricultural and livestock practices, recreational feeding of songbirds and hummingbirds, naturally growing plants, shrubs, trees, or garden produce, state or local officials acting in their professional capacity. I believe it also says federal too. Mulch or compost piles, and authorized feeding programs. So right now, the ordinance contains a presumption of intent and an enforcement mechanism. So presumption of intent is presumed with any placement of fruit, grain, hay, vegetable, mineral, or other food material is presumed to be feeding if it is exceeds 1/2 gallon in volume and it is put at a height of less than 6 feet, or if it's an automatic drop feeder. The enforcement would be, first offense, you would get a written warning with a 48-hour remediation. Second, you would get an infraction, which would just be a fine. And then there's an enhancement. So if someone has the same, hasn't resolved it within 30 days, I believe, or if they get 3 citations within 12 months, then that counts as a Class B misdemeanor, which could include up to jail time, but not sure how often a judge will impose that. Exactly.
What are you in for? Feeding turkeys.
Exactly.
Now he's living with turkeys.
Yeah.
So you may have noticed that while I was talking about the ordinance, I said, as it stands now. After reviewing this further with the county attorney, he had some suggested revisions. So right now, there is that presumption of intent standard, but I think it would be best to strike that and then essentially make this prohibit the intentional or knowing feeding of wild animals. So right now, under this amendment that's put before you all, an individual acts knowingly when they are aware of their conduct. It is practically certain to make food accessible to wild animals. This would ensure that the ordinance covers residents who facilitate feeding, even if they claim that attracting wildlife is not their primary intent. And there was also just updates to definitions, and there was an insertion of the word any. There was a grammatical error on my part, but Mr. Murray, I'm not sure if you want to add more on the
just how the presumption of intent was worded. I had concerns with burden shifting to the defendant when we charged the Class B misdemeanor if there were persistent violations, because that is a criminal offense, and the burden is completely on the state to prove each and every element. So I was more comfortable prosecuting these if the state had to prove that it was knowing or intentional, rather than a defendant having to disprove something.
So can I ask a question there?
Yes.
Yes.
So out where I'm at, I regularly have 200 head of elk or more on my fields. I stack hay. I understand there's an agricultural exemption.
That's a felony.
Yeah, for stacking hay.
You're lucky the sheriff's gone.
But I called the Division of Wildlife Resources one day because I was wanted to get them off my field. If I push them off the field and they run across the road and get hit by a car, I'm the one that they look for because I pushed a wildlife animal out of my field. And a few years ago, when it was so heavy in snow, those elk, I mean, holy cow, I feel so horrible for them. They're jumping fences, getting cut, getting injured. And there are some people out there who have tender hearts for those big animals who are getting hurt like that. So I hope there is consideration as to the intent as we look at that, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and I think that I think it's good that the first offense is just a warning, and that also gives the sheriff's deputies some time to think about it and look at the totality of the circumstances before we're actually handing someone a fine or a citation. So I've certainly seen what a winter like that does to animals and the limited resources of the DWR to help with that. And so I don't want to be part of criminalizing innocent conduct and making people who are generally really good, upstanding citizens feel like they're being treated like criminals.
Because we actually got some farmers together and said, hey, we would donate some hay and feed them up at closer to the mountain range rather than them coming down into the valley or the roads, but DWR did not want us to do that, so. Good. So, okay, so we're thinking about that.
Does anybody want to make a
I will actually say first, if you all do decide to pass this ordinance, I would just ask that you adopt the amendment first, then pass the ordinance with the amendment, but that's all. Do you guys have any questions, or?
I would move that we suspend the rules and include the technical amendments for 2020, ordinance 2026-26, and then pass ordinance 2026-2026 enacting a prohibition on the feeding of wild animals.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve ordinance, suspend the rules and approve ordinance 2026-26. As amended. Is there any further discussion?
I'll just say it passed unanimously in O&P.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Okay.
And you know, it was a fun discussion.
It really was. Even though I missed the first time we talked about it, the second
Slingshots
time was
and
so good.
all sorts of fun.
Okay, number F is an ordinance that Amy asked that we continue that. She's not quite ready to present that to us. So we go to G, Resolution 2026-14. We have a rezone that creates an unincorporated island. Brian.
Just a little background before we go over it. This came before you back in March of 2025. It was agreed upon and passed, but since then, we go, yeah, that if you look up on the screen where it says 1200 West, that little white square next to the blue, that was in the original annexation plan, but that's since been taken out. And then with some of the language that's changed with the state, they wanted to bring it back and before you again, just to make sure all of our T's are crossed.
So is that white portion still in the county?
No, it got annexed all on its own.
Oh.
Nibley?
Yep.
It annexed it.
Okay, so,
We're just doing the 2 blue parcels now, back when you approved it in 2025.
so the yellow part is not
That'll be
annexed.
the unincorporated island, correct.
Okay.
So this is 2 parcels totaling 33.66 acres south of Nibley between 1200 and 1500 West. It does include a full right-of-way, and like I say, that annexation will result in an unincorporated island.
And the whole road too, right?
Correct, yep.
The whole road.
That was our hiccup before, was the road.
Yeah.
That's all included in
I
it
just
now.
want to make sure that half a road didn't get slipped out, so.
Correct. So, that's kind of the summary of that one. Your possible actions tonight to agree to it, or disagree, and we'll formally protest the annexation.
Can you pull that map back up again, Brian? So the road of the unincorporated, they're gonna take that as well. Is that in the agreement? That- Okay,
It is highlighted there in the blue. It's just really hard to tell.
yeah.
But the whole road up to the top edge of the yellow is also included.
All right.
Remind me why they're not taking it at all?
It's a different property owner.
Property
They don't
didn't-
want to.
Didn't
okay,
want to be
yeah.
annexed.
I knew there was a reason, I couldn't remember.
Yeah.
Okay. Anybody have questions for Brian? Or discussion?
Just as a matter of full disclosure, I own property adjacent to this land here.
Then
So
you
is
shouldn't
it,
vote.
you're the yellow?
No.
I am not the yellow.
She's the white part on the side.
Soft, the island, really?
I wonder why we're using vague pronouns like property owner.
Yeah.
Madam Chair, I move that we go ahead and we accept and pass. I guess you'd pass resolution 2026-14, and accepting that consent for the Nielsen-Ropoletto annexation.
Does this require suspending the rule?
No, because it's just a resolution.
Oh, yeah.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we approve resolution 2026-14. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, we have one pending item that I think, just unless anybody wants to bring that up again, I think we can continue that.
We're not,
Perpetual.
Do you have anything?
I can take care of this really fast.
Yeah,
we're working on it. I know you are.
It's in
Pass it
progress.
tonight.
Oh, yeah.
Here to help.
Okay.
One
Yeah.
more thing off your plate.
You guys, when we, the wraps and restaurant tax recommendations that were brought to us, I was looking for an action item down below, but I think we needed to vote on that recommendation, unless somebody wants to continue that, but, I looked over the recommendations from the wraps committee, and I didn't see anything that was concerning to me. Does anyone else want to bring up some specific recommendations, or let's discuss that and maybe take a vote, or see if we want to continue till the next meeting?
Yeah, I had a couple on there.
Could I just add one element on wraps? The Zutah group has notified me of a cash shortfall and has asked me if there's any way they could get approval on that one, even if you're not approving the whole list, so we could disperse the money tomorrow morning.
I was gonna do that.
Okay,
Just in case.
thank you.
Yeah.
At least get that one.
Okay. Keegan, do you want to, maybe we can pass all of it if we can come to an agreement. Let's see.
So, yeah, a couple things. So I think one, maybe just a quick review from someone on that committee, how it works. I think you score 1 through 5. There's 7 members. Best possible score 35. I'd just be interested to hear just a quick version of how what criteria is being used for that, just for the public benefit. And then also I understand that there was a little bit more money, I think, than we originally thought in there, and I wonder how that would affect some of the awards, if it did at all. And then I noticed that the Cash Trails Alliance, number 18, they requested 30, they were awarded none. I think it's because they didn't provide more details, and I think Emily is maybe the contact there. But yeah, those were just a couple I noticed. So if you want to speak to those 3 items, I'd appreciate it.
You guys want to take those questions, one of you?
Well, I know on the, what it is we are given all of them, and as we go through them, the criteria from 0 to 5 on the score that we give them, that is by the individuals that that are selected to be on that committee. It is basically how we look at it, how well it flows, the purpose of it, participation, participation that they have, the skin in the game that they have, their financials, are they sitting on several $1 million and just keep asking, I mean, we look at all that and basically a 0 saying this doesn't, they're not really putting enough skin, or they're not doing enough. 5, and there's other factors, but you look at it, 5, hey, this is really good and it affects a lot of people. It really, they're getting a big bang out of the buck. And then we just do that, and then collectively they bring all those scores together. Then they're brought together, and then the total score of all the participants is then advertised, and then at that point we start with the highest scoring ones, and then work down. So we've already, and so in the awarding process, we've already, from our own personal, research, we're already addressing, so that we don't just start going through them and then you run out of money and we get some high scoring ones down or something like that. You're addressing the highest scoring ones and then working down.
Makes sense.
Yeah, and to address your second question, we left a fund balance. We didn't award all of the funds that we had available to us. And Alma got back to us later that there was some math error on the day of, when we actually had a little bit larger fund balance than we thought at the meeting. And so we still have a fund balance. I mean, that's been our habit. I think that's what we've always carried, a little bit of a fund balance, so we have some flexibility going forward. And we don't have to spend it all, right?
Yeah, and sometimes we get projects that come up, and it's nice to have
we want
some.
to be able to act quickly on. And we, another factor I think that we look into is the ability, not all of them will meet this qualification, but the ability for them to be able to draw people to participate in activities that would replenish the fund, right? So if they're bringing people they're going to eat out or come and recreate in a way that they will be spending money here, and which will, add more funds.
Yeah, it's an investment of sorts. Yeah.
I know Alma does an amazing job. I mean, this is a big project.
Yeah, Alma,
breaks it all down and provides it to us in a form that's really quite.
I've seen that since Cub Scouts.
It is quite detailed, and I will say it's quite easy to follow and work with. And it's really interesting, though, as we're talking, how some people pick up on something and others don't, and then others pick up on things in the discussion of each of them. There was one that I had looked at the financials, but I had not looked at the date and found out that they were financials from 2 years ago. And so they weren't up to date. And I didn't pick that up, but then another gentleman did pick that up. And so, you know, you start going, well, why don't we have the past 2 year financials? What's going on here? And so it kind of, it brings, I won't say suspicion, but it brings saying, hey, they didn't pay attention to the detail in filling out that application that was asked for.
Yeah, it should be scrutinized. So I use the example of cash trails. There was another one, it was number 40, the Hiram City East Park improvements. They requested 40. The recommendation was 0. If someone's looking at that, is that because the application was insufficient or the level of detail wasn't there?
They had 2 applications, and so just in equity to all of the municipalities, we kind of figured out a formula, and they ranked their second project, the AJ Park, higher, because if they have 2 applications, they rank which one they would prefer to have funds allocated to, and so we, just in fairness, were put it to their first project, the one that they had the most priority.
Yeah, great.
They'd given priority to.
Thanks for explaining that. I think, you know, everyone wants to know how the money's being spent, how those decisions were made, so
yeah,
that's helpful.
And I, last year when there were some projects that had been taken over 2 years to complete, and they were still coming back and wanting us to reapply those or reapply that money. Did we figure that out? Like, what exactly are the rules? Was everyone given the rules when they applied this time that it absolutely expires in 2 years? If they haven't spent the money, they lose it? And I think that's what we had talked about.
Yeah, I think we're just gonna be more stringent about following the rules that we already have.
Okay.
There are a couple entities, cities and especially during that COVID time when they were trying to find contractors, trying to, you know, get people to work on these things and concrete availability. And I mean, that was a whole different dynamic that we did have to extend to just try to help the cities get things accomplished that they couldn't do in the 2 years, just because there was such a competition at the time for all the contractors and for the people that were working. So we gave more latitude at that time. It's getting better, and I think that there's fewer people that are actually like a city that comes in. We have had a couple that says, "Hey, we started this project, had it, but then we have found another priority that if we were able to use that, then we could finish this whole area." And so they've come in and then they've asked us to reallocate things like that to help them utilize those funds even further for that particular city. Mostly it's all the cities that usually come in and want to change or something.
And I know some, probably not everyone knows this, but, and Joanne, I think you're on the tourism board now. They can apply for funds from that source, and there are other funding sources available beyond just RAPS as well.
The only concern I've been a little, this year, I think I've seen a little bit more I will say that there seems to be a little bit of the creation of more LLCs that seem to be supporting the same things, but they're creating and then asking for support here, here, and here, and then, but it seems to be benefiting the same groups and things like
shell
that.
companies.
I won't say shell companies, but I think that I'm a little worried about, you know, that they're being just a little more creative to just be able to ask for more a different way.
What you're saying is if someone feels the process wasn't equitable, they should write you.
I don't know. That's just it's just interesting, and I don't know. I hope that isn't happening, but it looks like it on some of them. So.
Does someone feel comfortable making a motion, or do you want to continue this? Or do you feel like you have enough information?
The executive has a point.
Yes.
I'd just like to make a good point. You're probably aware that there was an effort at the Utah State Legislature to gut this whole thing.
Yep.
I went through the list and looked at how the money had been allocated. An enormous, diverse group of entities are receiving the money. I think we need to do a better job of publicizing how much money is coming out of the RAP program and what it's supporting. You know, you go to, for example, you support the opera or this ballet, and they print a program, and the program says, silver sponsor gave us $5,000, a bronze sponsor gave us $2,000. Doesn't say we got $30,000 from RAPS. And I think
most people are actually doing pretty good. And
Pardon
they're
me?
even putting plaques. I've been to like parks and things like that, using
Right.
plaques,
I'm
sponsorship,
just
and they're really,
suggesting we do more of a job of emphasizing that. I noticed our Herald Journal reporter had left tonight, but I think we really need to publicize how many groups are getting this money and how much it is, because we need to support that program. If we should lose RAPS, all of these organizations, right or wrong, have become dependent on that as a core part of their funding year to year to year.
I think that's an excellent point, because we did something similar with the open spaces. You know, we publicized the property that was purchased. We had someone from COSAC go on the radio, a letter was sent out, and I think that helped raise awareness and help people understand what their bond money was going towards, and I think this could achieve the same thing.
I think even a letter directed to the various sources of the public media, this is what RAPS has done this year.
Well, I also think that getting money into outlying cities.
Yeah.
I mean, Cache Valley is getting congested. If you can build a park or a tennis court or anything in outlying areas, that helps and helps those
I agree.
communities and do that. It's awesome to get it dispersed outward to these places so that they can provide some entertainment for their citizens where they don't have a tax revenue.
it does say a lot. There is a huge diversity here, and there is something for everyone, which I think says a lot. It really says a lot for how these dollars are being utilized in this valley.
And when the legislature was they were just trying to take off the restaurant portion of the RAPS, and I think it was, this just really shows that it's, even though it's a lot of us paying those taxes, it supports the community, and it all stays here and supports the community, so I agree. I know this is always published on our website, but I think we can get it to some of the other news organizations and get it to where they know.
I have one item on here. If we look at item 47, it's the Logan Community Foundation, which is a Cache theater company. There was I think a mistake or something on their application, and we came up with a formula. I won't take the credit. It was Bruce Cook came up with a formula on allocating funds for different theaters based on how many productions they were going to put on. Their application said, and we said it was $25,000 per production. Their application said 2, so we gave them $50,000. They since have come to me and said that they're putting on 4 productions. So there was a correction on that. If I could amend that, and if the council agrees, we could amend that to $100,000 to just match what we've done for the other theaters across, using that same formula. So it's less. It's not their full ask, but it's last year they got 90,000, and they put on, I think, 3 last year, and this year they're doing 4 productions.
Yeah, but then I sit and compare, okay, if that little group theater gets 100,000, I don't know that we've given communities that much. Does that make sense when you follow that?
Give them the other theater groups, though, that much.
Pardon?
The other theater groups.
It's an equity to all the theater groups. That's what we came up with, and we
Right.
used another
But
formula.
now I want to put equity towards what we're giving communities.
Well, and
So
we
you're
did a
backing up to the
formula.
premise that maybe the dollar amount per production is too high?
Yes.
Oh, and we did a formula for, a similar type formula for the communities on their projects and how much we put towards their projects and a percentage of the total cost of their projects.
Well, I get that, but weren't we talking Hiram was getting 80,000? And so how many?
No, they got 200,000.
Did they get 200?
Yeah.
They,
What's the other
they
one that
applied
did-
for,
yeah,
They
the other
yeah.
one.
They
applied for another
they
40.
applied for $560,000. They had a really big ask between their project.
I didn't see the Cache Valley Cruising on here.
It's
incident.
there. They applied,
Is it?
yeah.
What number was it?
It's up in one of the million Cs there are.
It's under Cruising Association.
Cruising
Oh, okay.
Association.
So instead of looking at how many productions, can we also factor in how many attend those productions?
And that's in the application.
And that's in the application.
And they say that, yeah, they
Yeah.
have that in the applications.
Yeah.
I can't access that on this because this is trash and I hate my iPad. But I have.
Say it again.
Fire.
No hints, but I really hate my iPad. But yeah, that's part of. They have how many? They do a kids summer program, and that they told me how many numbers there is. Hundreds
a
of kids
lot.
that do it. Hundreds of kids do the kids program, and they are the three different. They're like. There's a few different ones that funnel into them. I'm sorry, I don't know because I don't have my application with them. Different theaters that they participate with. I don't.
So are you making a motion?
To change that application from.
And accept the rest of the recommendations?
Yeah, accept the rest of them. That's just new information that I've had since we, as a committee.
Can we vote on that
met.
change first and then do the rest?
Sure.
Let's do the amendment
So
first.
yeah, I'll move that we change number 47 from 50,000 to 100,000.
Okay, can I get a second on that? Okay, that's not.
I'll second that.
Okay, have a motion.
Late, but I'll second that one. I
Motion.
remember the discussion very vivid, and, but in some ways, they need to be better on their application.
Yeah, that one's on there.
Is there any, can we go into discussion now?
Yeah,
Just a second.
please.
Are there repercussions if someone doesn't follow through on the number of productions they're hoping for? An actor
mean,
breaks their leg, to use a metaphor, and
We'll
they-
look at the next year's application, and if they aren't true, then next year's application, we definitely will.
That's
not
the
give them
mechanism
money,
for
right? We'll-
correction.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, I mean.
And so
it
when
will
you looked at them
reflect-
this year, you
it'll
looked
reflect
at,
very poorly
What
on
they
next
did
year's
last year.
application,
Okay.
and we'll say, they
Yeah.
didn't come through, they didn't follow through on what they told us they would do, and we'll take that into consideration as a committee, I think.
okay.
Okay, the motion and the second was to increase the number 47 Logan Community Foundation from 50,000 to 100,000. Do we have any further discussion? Okay, those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay. All right, so now what about the rest of the recommendations as a whole? Is anyone ready to make a motion on those, or do you want more time?
I'm ready.
Well, 'cause we both looked
I
at
know
my.
you guys have vetted all of them. Everybody else
We've
would.
been sleeping with with the applications next to us, because we've done so long.
I think I had all my questions answered, so I'm.
Do you want to make that motion?
Sure, yeah, I'll, let's see, make sure I do it right here. I guess, is it a
6B or 6C?
yeah, motion to approve 6B, the
6C.
6C, the RAPS tax and restaurant program allocations.
Recommendations.
I second that.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded that we accept the RAPS and restaurant tax program recommendations as amended, as they've been presented to us. Is there any further discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, thank you. All right, we are down to the end.
Taking this night off, man.
Okay, parades. Let's talk about parades. We need to make a decision if we're going to hit these parades. Richmond Black and White Days is this Saturday. Is there anybody who says they want to be there?
We have an entry, I will be.
I
I
don't
can
think we have- I
provide,
don't think we have an
I
entry.
could provide my truck if you want it.
Okay, let's check on that. Okay,
We got an entry on that one? They've been called?
no. Yeah, we need to talk about that, about who's gonna make those calls. So I'll talk to Andrew about that later. Let's go to council member reports and then we can, I have ordered shirts.
Are we doing 9A or did that get scratched?
It got scratched.
That was
Oh, no,
Well,
we said
no, it's still
continue.
pending.
It's still pending.
Pending.
But I've offered.
continued yet. We
So
could
we're
do
gonna
it.
Scratch.
Let's,
Left.
let's do some council member reports. Joanne, do you wanna start? Do you have something you wanna share with us?
Well, there's some activities this week for, I guess it's mostly Logan, but the Tabernacle has a concert with the men's choir on Friday night, and the free movie at the Lob Center. Those are the main ones. There's things going on, I think an art thing at the fairgrounds, so, on Saturday.
Okay, Keegan.
Bike to Work Week, there's a schedule on the website, and they're doing a scavenger hunt at different libraries in the community. So if you ride your bike, you can spin a wheel and win a prize like a helmet or a reflector, things like that. So that's something for the community to participate in. And then someone from COSAC should be getting with one of you to get on the agenda probably next meeting. Has Chris reached out to you already, or?
I believe Lisa reached out and
Okay.
said just be aware this might be on next week.
Okay, yeah, and they're going to go over a spreadsheet of just how much is awarded, what the amount was per acre, just to provide some context for us when we approve. This is what's been approved in the past, this has been the county's portion, this has been the state or other funding sources.
Do you have an
Has
update on?
anything been paid?
Yeah, like what's the name of the one on the highway?
Furman's out there.
Furman, yeah. Is that not complete yet?
It's like in the home stretch. I talked to Bear River, Gabe, is that his name?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm like, bring it home, and he says it's right there.
Yeah, I think he was waiting on attorney recommendations, we gave him the approval
And
a
now
couple
they're
months
doing,
ago.
An appraisal, a final appraisal for it. So it's like right there.
Yeah, the wheels of government are turning quickly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, I have something else when you're done.
Oh, I'm done.
Hey, what else, Joanne?
Well, you know, from my recommendation to have this open comment period and hearing all of your comments, it's very hard to get on the agenda. So this is a recommendation I have, is that maybe we publish, or we'll figure out first, and tell people how it is they can get on the agenda.
People can't get on the agenda, Joanne.
That's well, or how you can move your ideas along, because I know the comments were,
Yeah.
people can get together, you can talk to 3 council members.
Yep, there's all those avenues to contact any of us.
Right.
Or to have 2 or 3 of us together. But as far as being on the agenda, it has to be an actual ordinance or proposal or a public hearing for a specific project is the only way. Like, people can't just call us and say, hey, I'd like to speak to the county council, can I get on
Yeah,
their
I
agenda?
know that, but there is some kind of a process, because it does. And I think it would be good to publish that, or to say that 3 council people could discuss whatever issue you have with you. And one of the requirements in that open thing too, I thought, I don't know if it said that, Andrew, but that you had to put your name down so the council could talk to you after, so that your ideas would actually get heard or spoken to.
When was that?
That was the thing he read, the amendment to the agenda, right? What did we call that?
Advice and consent?
The resolution. No, it was the thing I wanted, the
Public
open,
comment ordinance.
yeah, was that what it was called?
The public comment ordinance.
Public comment ordinance.
Do a better job of making sure that we are that people know how available we are and how they can contact us when they have issues within the county. We really do want to hear from people. There just has to be a process, and it can't just be on the agenda unless there's a specific ordinance or a proposal.
Well, and 2, on there, when you go to individual names, if you want to send them an email, you fill out the form. That doesn't have anybody's email address on there.
Wait a minute.
Well, yeah.
It doesn't.
I know,
Your
but
email is on the website, so is my phone number.
Your phone number is, but not an email address.
There's a,
No,
it links to a form that will send to your email address, but the email address itself is not listed.
Which sometimes if you put email addresses on websites, you get a bunch of spam, so.
I know,
I'm guessing
you
that's
have
the
the
reason
privacy
that's
It's not
done.
that hard
Yeah.
to figure it out. It's just
No.
first
Fine,
name,
we don't want
last
a
name.
bunch of spam cluttering it, so we accidentally miss somebody's important email.
Yeah, that's where we get those.
That's why the form is important.
Yeah. If someone Googles my name, they'll never be able to find me. I'll just blend in with all the other Keegan Garrity's, so.
There's so many of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, Nolan, did you want to give us a report?
I'll say thanks to us giving a raise to the planning commission. It's well deserved, but way late.
Yeah.
So how many years ago was it when you were on there?
Yeah, wasn't that on the
It's,
agenda?
we're holding a public hearing for it next week.
Yeah, we're gonna hold a public hearing for it.
scheduled.
In process.
And I'm going
All right.
home. I have nothing
So-
more to say.
Yeah.
Strong arm, you know. Okay.
He's preemptive coverage.
We can assume the sale though.
Confidence
Like
in
that
us.
mock
Yeah.
I don't have anything,
Yeah,
Sandy.
okay, Dave, anything to report?
The town celebrations are, they're in kickoff for the summer.
Yep.
And with the health days, and then Black and White Days up there is going strong. The weather has created a lot of wonderful, wonderful turnout for a lot of people. We are there, we are very visible, and when we're not there, we are missed. I've heard that, so.
Okay. Mark?
I think we've had 12 OMP meetings since our last council meeting.
One
Is it
tomorrow.
12? And we have one tomorrow, and then we have one Friday.
OMP.
No, we've had several because we're working through all the discussion about the airport. As George mentioned earlier, that project is ongoing, and we will be meeting again tomorrow
At 8:30.
at 8:30. We
It was
couldn't.
8 o'clock.
It was supposed to be 8 o'clock. My fault for not getting it to Andrew in time to get it so that we could say 8 o'clock.
I was
So
sprinting into the building to hand out the notices in time.
I
Someone said they were gonna bring donuts or bagels. I don't remember.
Yeah.
somebody did say that too. It wasn't me. But is that gonna work? Because you mentioned you have another meeting tomorrow at 8. So 8:30 might be better for the executive anyway.
Yeah, 8:30 would be better.
Okay.
We have
It is noticed as
discussion
at
involving
8:30.
a Smithfield gravel pit at
Mhm.
8 o'clock, which is of great
From a
urgency to
30-minute
members
cutoff.
of the committee.
Correct.
You want me there, Dave?
So a fortunate oversight on my part has made it so that the executive can attend both meetings.
I will just give an update on, for the benefit of the group. Craig Carlson, Logan City's attorney, emailed me during this meeting saying, hey, I've been out of town, I just got back. So he hasn't had a chance. I did make some changes to the portions related to Logan City and utilities, so I can present those, but I haven't had a chance to even discuss it with
Should
them.
we just put it off?
Should we put that
Yeah,
off then?
I think without his review, it'd be
Yeah.
less productive.
That was part of the reason why we were wanting to get it done last week, so we had time
he's
to do
been out of
that
town.
before the executive was out of town. It's been
It does
not gonna
put
be
it
there
out
for our
because I'm
regular
out of
OMP
town
meeting, so.
Next week for a training, so it would put it out to the next week, but
Yeah.
I can have those discussions with Craig, in the meantime.
Okay.
I have,
Timeline is up to you too, I believe, so on the OMP thing, but.
this is the matter that keeps dragging across my desk. This is our America 250 committee. They've been trying to come up with an idea for us to do something with our employees. This is a coin that the bank, Cache Valley Bank, makes. And I showed them this, and they thought, they asked me if they could do something similar. And so I went over to Joe Needham, and you can take the bank name off of it. You can't create a new,
I want to see them.
new coin, but you can put America 250 on it and then say compliments of Cache County. Those, just changing the writing on it is a small matter and can be done quickly. They can issue those to us for $4 a piece. If we wanted to get one for each of our county employees, that was the proposal from the America 250 committee that I'm relating to you.
That'd be about $1,700.
2,000,
2,000.
4 times 500 employees.
No, I thought we had 450.
They deserve that.
Okay,
Something like that. They definitely deserve something.
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the money. I think we've got a couple of bins. The question is whether you want to do something.
I think that would be really nice.
Wonderful.
Yeah, I like that. Okay.
I only
Alright.
brought 3 of them. If you each want one, I'll go get you one. This isn't intended to replace your medallion. with the
Yeah, I
7
want one that I
stars.
can wear on my lapel.
But just for your information, I did ask, And they can put a pin on it, so it can be pinned on a blazer or something for $1 more.
I don't know if that's kind of big. I don't know if anybody would want to wear them. I just want to report that Catherine and I and Dave met with us this week. We do meet with the executive and Kurt every Monday morning at 9 o'clock. We've had some really productive tense meetings. I've been yelled at before. If anybody wants to, if you have something you want us to bring up, please let us know. And if you want to join us, we can always have a third person join us. And last time we specifically brought Dave, but let me know. Mark and I were at a CMPO meeting. They're talking about some of the things that'll come to us as COG projects. So it was good to be there. I've had several meetings with the health department, their finance committee, their audit, all of that. I went to a COG meeting. I've been to a lot of meetings. Anyway, it's been great. Let's have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Done. Okay. Cool. Thank you, everyone. Thank you all of you guys for hanging in there with us.
Was this your pen or mine?
It came with that last thing that was signed.
Oh, well,
so
yeah, I'll keep it.
It's got the bank's name on it. So.
I don't know where it came from.
I don't know where it came from.
But that's what I wanted.